The Three Rivers Homestead Challenge is put on January and February by Jessica. And I'm very inspired by Jessica because she understands that everybody's household is different. And you can develop it however you want. Your recipes are your own recipes. And I don't think I'm the only one that changes the recipes as you go along, depending what you want to use up in your pantry. Well, today I'm working on as many ingredients as I could to get into this oatmeal, which isn't a hard thing for me, because when I do this baked oatmeal, or if I do the refrigerator ones in the jar, I also think of what I can pack into that. The only difference is this one's baked, so I can use up my excess of eggs that I have. My hens have been laying really well through this winter. I had froze a lot of eggs in anticipation of them dropping off. And they did for just a few weeks. And then they started laying almost within an egg or two of what they normally lay. So I can keep my frozen eggs in the freezer and then use up, air quote, excess in my pantry or, my fridge of eggs. So I'm truly blessed with having this many eggs. So today, my version of this baked oatmeal is going to have steel cut oats in it. So what I did was I pre-soaked them in boiling water. I put in a cup of steel cut oats in a bowl, stirring in boiling water, and I just set a lid on it and let it kind of, steep there for about 5 minutes, and it soaks in the water. And then I stir in all my little goodies. Now today, I put in quite a few things. I put in ground flaxseed. I'm in the process of using that up. As you can see, this is my starting line, so I threw in a couple of scoops of that. I've been working on my chia seeds. I have it down. I threw in several scoops of that because I do like my chia, and that's going to provide protein and nutrient-dense nutrition in. I threw in a couple of scoops of the protein powder. I also cooked up some quinoa, and it's slowly going down. It was originally full up. I threw in a bit of quinoa flour just to thicken it up, and a couple of scoops of the bran. I did have a little bit of sugar left in this jar. Once the other bag is open, I will not be buying, I haven't been buying any brown sugar. It's been there since probably last summer. It'll slowly get used up through this challenge too, because I have discovered that making my own brown sugar is so much fun. I don't even have to make it up and measure it out for a recipe. You just measure out your white sugar and then add in your molasses. And speaking of that, I also put in molasses, which has good nutrients and flavor, amazing flavor in it. I took 12 eggs. I've already beaten them up. You don't have to separate them or anything. So I've beaten them up and I've added in spices in here. I've also added in spices into the steel cut oats. I put in cinnamon. Let's see, let's go through them. I had put in a good deal of cinnamon. And I mean to taste. I figure for this recipe, the size of it, because it is going to fill a dish this size. It's about 8 by 12. So I threw in a couple of teaspoons of cinnamon, and then I threw in ground ginger, a smidge of cardamom. Go lightly with that. It packs a punch. So if you're putting in several teaspoons of cinnamon, you probably only need to put in 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom, and that's to your taste as well, right? And nutmeg. I did throw that in because one of the ingredients I'm going to try to use up is apples. Now last year I managed to forage a lot of apples, a lot of different varieties and stuff. I still have some in cold storage. I'm testing my cold cellar location with them. And this variety dried amazing. So I dehydrated a lot of those apples. I like to have them as treats. I break off small pieces for my dog. She loves apples, but I don't give her a lot. I just give her like a piece here and there. And the grandchildren like taking them in their lunch, or if they're looking for a snack after dinner, and they just want something, a little something to chew on. And I find after, you know, a couple hours after supper, it's the perfect thing for myself as well. So what I did was, because these are, I do them up, I discovered it was, you know, tedious to cut them up and put them on a tray to dehydrate them, and then they were falling through the tray. So it's better just to do the half slices, then they can be snacks, or snip them up very easily with kitchen scissors to the size you would like to have for in whatever it is you're baking. So I've just added that in, and I'm going to just give it a little stir. Now I could certainly put more in. Today, that's all I'm going to put in. I have other ingredients. So you may have wondered what my inspiration was for the spices that I chose for this oatmeal. And it was chai tea. I love chai tea. I have been shown how to make it properly on the stove, and it's a whole process itself. And I use, you know, star anise in the pods, and cardamom, and there's several different variations, you know, depending on how you feel every day. Even right down to the peppercorns in it, which is amazing. Sometimes I put them in, sometimes I don't. I had toyed with the thought of putting pepper in here, and actually now that I think of it, I think I'm going to try it. Ground pepper. So I'm just going to give it a little bit because I do enjoy the flavor it adds in with the other spices, the cinnamon, the ginger, the cardamom, the nutmeg. The nutmeg's not something that I usually put in. I truly just dropped in nutmeg because of the apples, and I wanted that bit of flavor in there. So I dropped the soaked ingredients in with the eggs. It took a little bit of stirring to get it to all go in, and then I'm going to put it in the greased pan to bake. So today I use quinoa, and I cooked that in my rice maker. I used 1 cup to 2 cups of water. I did add that in to the steel cut oats. I put 1 cup in a bowl and covered it with water and mixed it in and let it steep for a few minutes. Cinnamon, molasses, ginger, go light on the cardamom, nutmeg. I also put in some vanilla extract. And on a whim, because I had a chai tea inspiration going on here, and I do like pepper about 50% of the time in my chai tea, and I ground some of that in there as well. I also used some quinoa flour just to go in with the eggs and kind of have that work together. A little bit of bran, maybe a 1/4 cup of chia seeds, 2 little scoops of flax seeds, so that'd be about 2 to 3 tablespoons. And I also added in some protein powder. So very nutrient dense type of baked oatmeal. Now I do measure with my heart a lot of times, and today I definitely did that. I could tell as I was mixing it, what I would like to put in it. Oh, and I did put in a little bit of brown sugar. So I had emptied out this jar. I almost forgot. So I emptied that out, and I am down to my last bag of brown sugar, because I am never buying it again. I've been making it since last year, and I make it up as I need it, mixing white sugar with molasses. I also like molasses in my coffee too, so that's a really nice flavor alternative. Well, I just took it out of the oven. I baked it at 350. It took about 40-45 minutes until the center was bouncy. I also tested it with a toothpick, and at the 40-minute mark, with what I put in here, it came out dry. And I gotta tell you folks, my house smells amazing. It smells like I'm making chai tea on the stove. I hope it tastes as good as it smells. Well, I've cut into the baked oatmeal. It smells incredible. I put it in a bowl with milk, and I cut it like bread and put it here on the side with butter to try it. And let's see how that tastes. It's very bread-like, like the texture, kind of what you would expect if it, let's say this was a banana loaf, but it's not a banana loaf. There's apple throughout this. You don't really taste the apples. Well, here and there. Okay, I just got a piece of it. That was really good. Well, let's try it with the milk. And I use canned milk on that. I'm working my way through my pantry with the canned milk. Okay, this is so good. It smells incredible.